on the immediate withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukraine. And if you do that, we'll also end all sanctions.
So again, it seems like a pretty level-headed way to come at this. All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of IDRYB Reacts. I am Lutch, your host, and today we are going to be taking a look at a video from Dave Smith's Part of the Problem podcast about the war. This is actually about a month old, and I remember listening to it at the time, but I wasn't really doing reactions, so I thought why not come back and revisit it. Just a very poignant note about how the perspective we have, especially the establishment narratives on either side, pro or against war, seem very limited, and that there are other ways to look at this stuff, and that, you know, it doesn't have to be loving Putin or World War III. That's not that's a false dichotomy. That's Dave's hypothesis here. So without further ado, if you haven't been here before, or even if you haven't done it yet, please do hit that subscribe button. I'm 10 people away from 200, and we're only doing more and more and more and more. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video.
What would you have America do right now? And it's kind of funny in a way to, and by the way, again, as I mentioned, this person asked in good faith, I believe, because they said it kind of like, they were like, look, honest question. I'm not trying to be antagonistic here, but like, you know, if you're not even for sanctions and you're obviously against war, what would you do? And it's kind of funny to be like, you know, from my perspective, you're like, so you're not for killing people and you're also not for starving people. So then what else is there? You know, I'm like, think about that, you know, just as a human being for a little, there's other options. Anyway, but I said, and I didn't.
And so here we have Dave laying out kind of just what I did, saying it better than I could, which is why I'm sharing this video with you. That, yeah, that's a false dichotomy, and the way that people talk about how to go about this. And remember, this is from March 11th. So I don't remember the exact date of when all of this officially started, but we were at the times of, it was before we were really entrenched in the war as we are now. So we were still talking about sanctions. We were still talking about a way to pull back and really, you know, have some damage control. And I guess, you know, we're still in that place somewhat, but, you know, maybe if we had listened to Dave, then we might be in a little bit better of a place. So continuing.
I don't want to say anything that sounded too lofty or like, you know, pie in the sky that can't practically happen. So I was like, you know, I wasn't going to be like, well, abolish NATO, abolish all governments and everyone live harmoniously or something like that, even though that would be kind of ideal. But I just said, I was like, well, how about this? How about we offer Russia a treaty that says we promise to never incorporate Ukraine into NATO, contingent on the immediate withdrawal of, you know, Russian forces from Ukraine. And if you do that, we'll also end all sanctions. I'm not saying I'm.
So again, that's a pretty, it seems like a pretty level-headed way to come at this. And, you know, not being, I personally am not too heavily involved in the broader geopolitics. Obviously, I'm aware of what's going on, but, you know, domestic culture stuff is more of my bread and butter. But again, I'm just wondering where are the other people that are talking like this, that are saying, okay, you know, let's not starve people and let's not bomb people. What else can we do?
I guarantee that would work. Quite possibly it wouldn't, but I think there's a shot it would. You know, why not take that shot? Why not say, look, here's a situation where you're incentivized to immediately withdraw, and there'll be benefit for you on that. You can spin it to your people like I backed down the Americans and got what I wanted. We can spin it to our people like we ended the bloodshed. Everybody wins. Everybody gets a little something at least. And then maybe we can talk about getting back in the you know, like nuclear treaty deals and all that stuff and kind of like de-escalating tensions. Then maybe we can negotiate more and more and more from there.
So what we're talking about here is just, I hesitate to use the word, the phrase half measures because of its context in Breaking Bad. But in this context, it's saying that we don't have to go all out. There's ways to approach this diplomatically, and nobody seems to be saying that. I certainly haven't heard that, and from a lot of people, and it's just alarming that people are so willing to dive into what's going on and take such a hardline stance that will end in people dying without even really exploring other options.
The overwhelming response I got from detractors was like, sure, give Putin everything he wants. Oh, yeah, so you just wouldn't want to punish Putin at all for what he's done. And this is the crazy thing about war fever, is that I go, so even in my hypothetical, right, it was contingent on his immediate withdrawal. So if he doesn't
right. So again, he's saying all he's presenting here is, why don't we try something, and if it works, so on and so forth. And before people are even willing to give a chance to that hypothetical, where in the hypothetical, Putin has withdrawn his troops, they're already saying no. And that's the part that doesn't make sense to me. The notion that diplomacy may not have worked and may not have done anything is a perfectly valid thing to say, but the idea is that, why didn't we try, or why didn't we try harder? And so sorry to interrupt your podcast experience. I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying what you're watching, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you really love it, there's some support links in the description. I would love if you could help out the channel. And back to the show. I don't know. If you guys know, comment down below.
he doesn't do it. Okay, we tried, and he won't do it. And if anything, if he won't do it, then it strengthens the American case. Oh, look, we offered him this stuff, and he still won't do it. So whatever. But the point is that you're like,
even in the context of the political optics, that still helps both sides. That still helps, America and NATO and whoever else who is, trying to de-escalate. And as he said, he got to back down Putin and the Russians, and then Russia gets what they want. And like, it seems like the notion of even giving in an inch is tied to weakness. And ironically, the big thing here is, if you take another step back and you think about, why didn't Putin invade when Trump was in office, a lot of people are going to shy away from the notion that Trump just had a stronger presence than Biden does, and so he felt comfortable enough to do that. But the notion, and Trump was hated for that. Trump was hated for having this bombast. Even me personally, I specifically remember when he was in talks with North Korea, and we had the whole fire and fury. If they do this, I don't remember the exact situation, but I think it was some type of bombing or whatever it was. He was like, if they do that, they're going to be met with fire and fury. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? You're talking to an evil dictator like this. And I still don't necessarily know if that was the best move, but it worked. So again, it's the same people who are talking about whatever they're talking about. Their values fluctuate based on which narrative they want to perpetuate. So strength is a bad thing when it's Trump, but diplomacy is weakness when it's Biden. That's what I'm getting from this.
So you are so angry. This is war fever. So you're like, this is so fucked up that Vladimir Putin invaded, because it's so wrong what he's doing to the people of Ukraine. But if I offer you a path where he'd have to stop that right now in order for the deal to happen, and there'd have to be so much less bloodshed, you still won't take that, because you have this desire for bloodshed, because you have this desire for vengeance against this guy. Somehow that's more important than just reducing the amount of bloodshed. Like, it's more important to have this symbolic, now fuck this guy, we got to win and he's got to lose, than to just, I don't know, take the threat of nuclear war off the table.
And that only happens because it is such a theoretical game. It's a Twitter game to most people who are talking about it. We're not talking about the actual end of the world. We're not talking about actual nuclear warfare. We're talking about winning points on Twitter. And that's why it's so easy to stake the two camps and pick one, because it's so black and white and so binary to most of these people. And again, I don't claim to have all the answers or to be very well read on this. But the point is that I'm aware enough to step back a little bit and say, okay, I don't know what's going on here. I want more information. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what is coming out of Ukraine. I want to see what's coming out of Russia. I want to see what's coming out from the rest, from Europe. I want to see what's going on. We need to take a step back before we even realize what it is that we're dealing with. And that doesn't mean that we can't have strong opinions on, individual things, or, Putin's not new to the scene. There's no reason why you can't take a position of, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I don't really trust Putin. That's a perfectly logical position to take. But the idea is that first part of you not knowing exactly what's going on is crucial. And so before you're ready to send off our soldiers to go and fight this war, that might end up very well coming back and playing, this isn't, Vietnam, where, as horrible as that was for the veterans, it was not on our doorstep. And while this is all happening in Russia and Ukraine, when you start bringing nuclear war and nuclear weapons into it, everything else goes out the window. That's why this is such a big deal. So I don't know. Continuing.
To take the threat of, even if you care, because I know all of you guys care so much about the Ukrainian people, just like you care about the Kurds for 2 weeks, and just like you care about, like all the Yazidis when they were up in the
Got him.
mountains in Iraq or whatever. Whenever we need a war, there's Coney. That's a great example. Yeah, just like you guys cared about Coney for 6 days in 2012 or whatever.
I do have to say, granted, I was 21 years old, but I was so on board with that Coney 2012 thing. That was that might have been like one of the first political things that I really got into. And I still remember, because the whole thing came out right around this time of year. And then there was the campaign to have whatever it culminated in was supposed to be like in July or August. And yeah, it was just too long of a period. There definitely could have been something done if everybody's attention span wasn't so short. And so I know he's just rattling off things here, but that one was personal to me, because I was all about it. I was like, we need to do something. This is I've talked before about how the night Obama was elected, I didn't understand why people were partying outside the dorms. I was just walking back, and it was a normal day to me. And I was like, oh, the first Black president in history. That's kind of a big deal. Maybe I should be paying attention to this stuff. So I wasn't necessarily super well initiated in college, but the point stands. I was there for Coney 2012, and it's sad that people have that kind of attention span.
Whatever that was, just like, yeah, you guys care about this so much for the moment, not so much about the people of Yemen. We don't care about them so much, but you really, really, really care, because you're such humanitarians, about the people of Ukraine. But even saving the people of Ukraine, that's not really what we care about. What we really care about is winning, and then punishing and beating. And we'll punish some old lady who happens to be a Russian, in the name of we're punishing, the Russians, because they're all guilty.
Right, because it's not it's not Putin who's on the front lines of anything. It's not Putin who is living in these civilian places that are being war-torn. So before people are ready to just say we need to support these people, just because we can all admit and agree that Putin is a bad guy and that he should not have invaded, that it doesn't automatically lead to the conclusion that we need to get involved in warfare. And I think that's the only point that he's making here. There's about 30 seconds left. Let's just see what he's got here.
At this point, the Russians are all guilty and they deserve to suffer. The Americans, for, the crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya and Syria and Yemen and Somalia, no, we don't deserve to suffer for that. But the Russians deserve to suffer for this.
So yeah, I think it was said really well by Dave, and I really just wanted to share that with you guys. I didn't have too much of my own commentary because it was so well said, but I think it's important that we take a step back, we slow down. I mean, already now, the amount of Ukrainian flags that I've seen on social media in the last I don't know, probably since the Will Smith slap, has really just gone down. We've moved on to the next thing, and which is fine. Not everybody has to care about everything, but when that thing, the flavor of the week has real consequences and actually could lead to a world war, then maybe, just maybe, it's worth slowing down and looking at all the options. So I don't know. Tell me what you guys think Is Dave right? Is Dave wrong? Am I just have no idea what I'm talking about? Let me know in the comments below. We've also got those support links in the description. I would love if you could help out the channel. I'm really trying to grow, as you can see. Been doing more stuff back down in the studio. If you enjoyed my my bedroom diaries, not really diary, but you know, if you enjoyed the bedroom reactions, I could definitely do a lot more of those. But of course, this is the creme de la creme down here in the studio. But with that, thank you guys. Like I said, those support links will really help out. But of course, it is free to like, comment, and subscribe. And even if you don't want to do that and you just want to sit at home, think about how great these videos are and how awesome I am, you can do that too. Until next time, I am out of here.